Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are diving into a really fascinating map of our inner world, a blueprint for the soul, all unlocked from just a handful of ancient Hebrew words in a single verse of the Bible.
So, it all kicks off with this really powerful idea from its creators, Daniela and Rodrigo Arteaga, that some words are like keys, capable of opening spiritual chambers inside of us that we didn't even know were there. We're about to explore their framework for this inner house, a system that came from a very unexpected place.
All right, let's get into it. You might think a story like this starts in some ancient library, right? Nope. This one begins right in the middle of the recent pandemic with a really personal modern problem.
So, Daniela Arteaga was just dealing with this severe, mysterious energy drain. And looking for answers, she and her husband Rodrigo decided to turn to his research on the book of Genesis.
During a time of prayer, they decided to focus on this one specific Hebrew word, yatzar. And what happened next? Well, nobody saw it coming. This single word, this key, unlocked an incredibly powerful and intense vision for Daniela. And right away, this very first experience, it laid down a kind of fundamental rule for the inner landscape they were just starting to explore.
But let's be clear, this wasn't some blissful, floaty vision. It was raw, it was visceral. A feeling of suffocation that her spirit immediately connected to a trauma from her time in the womb. And this revealed the first rule of their new map.
And this is where they figured out this core principle, this sort of three-step process for healing. First, you have to confront what they call a trauma foyer, this dark, blocked space that's tied to the wound. Then, you do the work to heal and restore it. And only after that can you finally access the dimension as it was meant to be.
So that first discovery was like opening door number one. But it turns out, using other Hebrew words from that exact same verse, there were more keys and more doors. They started to map out 10 totally distinct inner dimensions, or rooms, that make up our inner house.
And each word was its own unique key. You have Yatzar, about our formation, then you've got Adama, which is our heart, Napach, our capacity to expand, all the way to things like Haya, our ability to act, and Nefesh, our soul's expression. Each one opened a door to a totally different part of being human.
And the symbolism that these keys unlocked? Wow, it was often shockingly direct. For instance, the dimension of Neshama, which they connect to a father's blessing, appeared to Daniela as an empty quiver of arrows. I mean, what a powerful metaphor for feeling like you're missing that paternal affirmation in life.
Or how about this one? The dimension of Af, tied to the heart's expression, showed up as this giant, colorful pinwheel, but it was frozen solid under a thick layer of ice. Just think about that image. A heart that's meant to be joyful and free, just frozen by fear, waiting for something to thaw it out.
Now, for a while, these were just these incredible but kind of separate visions. But then came the breakthrough, the big aha moment that tied it all together.
So they had these 10 rooms, right? But there was still this 11th word in the verse they were looking at. So the question was, where does this 11th dimension fit in? And then Daniela has another vision, this time of a long hallway, with all the doors arranged in a very specific way, connecting everything she'd seen before. And the great revelation was realizing what this central connector actually was. It corresponded to the word Chay, the Hebrew word for life. And this is so crucial to get. The 11th dimension wasn't just another room at the end of the hall. No, it was the hallway itself. This dimension, Chay, was the thing that gave it all structure, that turned these isolated experiences into a real navigatable map of the soul.
And here's where it gets really mind-blowing. They found that the condition of this inner corridor, whether it was chaotic and dark or orderly and bright, was a perfect one-to-one reflection of what was going on in a person's actual present-day life.
So for example, a vision of a hallway with all these misaligned, clashing shapes, that would mirror a life that felt suffocating and out of control. But on the flip side, an image they talk about of perfectly roasted meat, kind of strange but a powerful symbol, represented a life that was in perfect alignment and order.
But wait, there's even more to this blueprint. Because the actual layout of the doors along this hallway, that revealed another whole layer of meaning about our inner balance. See, the placement wasn't random at all. The 4 doors on the left were all tied to receptive, internal, you could say feminine energies, while the 4 doors on the right represented the expressive, external, masculine energies. It suggests this beautiful design meant for harmony.
And what's really cool is how this all circles back to a fascinating little detail in the original text. The Hebrew word used isn't just Chai for life, it's Hayim, which is plural, lives. It just reinforces this idea that we aren't one single flat thing. We're a collection of many interconnected lives all at once.
Okay, so let's bring this all home. Why is this central hallway, this Chay dimension, so fundamentally important for us to understand?
Well, it plays three absolutely crucial roles. First, it's the framework that gives your whole inner world its structure. Second, it's the mirror that gives you an instant diagnosis of how your life is doing right now. And third, it's the integrator, the channel that lets healing in one room ripple out and affect everything else.
So at the end of the day, what we're looking at here is pretty much a map of the soul. It's a tool, a model for consciously understanding, navigating, and ultimately harmonizing all the complex parts that make you, you.
Which leaves us with a pretty profound question to chew on. If our soul is a house with many rooms, all connected by this central hallway of life, well then what might change for you? How does consciously cleaning and harmonizing that inner architecture actually transform the one life you experience every single day?